Okay, good evening, friends. So I had sent a set of questions as homework to all of you, and with the instruction that try and solve. Huh? Okay, try to solve it. If you don't get it, it's okay, right? Because I don't want you to be under any sort of pressure that if you don't solve, there'll be you will be judged. So it's not like that. I just wanted all of you to go through the question and capture the question and try and see if you can solve the problem. Okay? That was the intention. Now there was one more part of the units and measurements, units, measurements, and dimensional analysis. So that part, dimensional analysis, I am looking into that. Okay, so as I have already told you that the 7 fundamental quantities are length, mass, time, electric current, thermodynamic temperature, mole, luminous intensity. Now, length, mass, time. These 3 fundamental quantities are enough to learn the mechanics. There is one section called mechanics in physics. So for that section, only these 3 fundamental quantities are sufficient. Okay, but for all other quantities, you need to include all of them. I think in high school, you were introduced to length, mass, time, a bit of the dimensional analysis, and we are now going to further it and include all the other physical quantities. Okay. So now you see, for example, velocity is the rate at which displacement changes. Hence, the dimensional formula is L by T, or L T raised to minus 1. If you are not familiar with what I have written here, then you can ask me. I will explain. Please don't keep quiet, because I presume that you have some knowledge of this. I hope you understood this. The dimensional formula of velocity. Hello?
Yes.
Vaishnavi square. Vaishnavi Timapur, Vaishnavi Joshi. Hello?
Yes, sir.
You better keep telling yes or no, one of this. So, you write the formula for velocity. So, the formula for velocity, as you know, the formula for velocity will be velocity okay, is equal to displacement. I mean, I am just writing the mathematical formula. Displacement upon time. So, displacement is measured in, as you know, it is the length. So, the fundamental quantity to express displacement is L, and the fundamental quantity to express time is T, and this is written as L T raised to minus 1. So, this is the dimensional formula. However, the notation is you write it like this. So, if you write it in bracket, that means the dimensional formula of velocity is m raised to 0, L raised to 1, T raised to minus 1. So, what it means is, as you know, the dimensions are the powers to which the fundamental quantities that make the physical quantity, okay, the powers to which the fundamental quantities are raised to make the to get the physical quantity. So, the physical quantity here is velocity, and if I say m raised to 0, that means it is not at all related to mass. L raised to 1, it is related to mass, and the power to which it is raised is 1. And it is related to time, and the power to which it is raised is minus 1. And this is the dimensional formula of velocity. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, great. That's nothing this about this. So now you can see here the force. As you know, force is mass into acceleration. So mass into acceleration, right? So actually, when you write, that is the dimensional formula of force is m raised to 1, L raised to 1, T raised to minus 2. Of course, the format in which it is written here for mains and IIT it is okay, but for the board examinations you should not write like this. You should write like this for the board examinations. So you should write it as the dimensional formula of force. Okay, is m raised to 1, L raised to 1, T raised to minus 2. This is how we should write the dimensional formula of force. Clear?
Yes,
See, for board examinations, the format, the presentation is very, very important. In fact, you better practice like this, because when you write your journals or any paper presentation, then representation is extremely important, and this is how it gets written. Now, similarly, you see now, dimensional formula of magnetic field. See, as I told you, to teach this chapter, you must know some physical quantities. Okay? Now, you have studied Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction and some things like that in the 10th standard.
yes,
Have you come across something called as Lorentz force?
no, sir.
Good, good, good. So, this formula that you get here is the Lorentz force. I will tell you in brief. You don't have to learn Lorentz law now. You will learn Lorentz law in detail in next year. But I am sure you will understand something about this Lorentz force now. Just because I am mentioning here. Okay. So, the thing is, as far as the Lorentz force is concerned, supposing you have a particle, okay, a particle, and this particle has got charge Q. I suppose you know what is charge. There are two types of charges, positive charge, negative charge, and you know what is charged body. That is, you see, when you take a glass rod and rub it against silk cloth, then the glass rod acquires one type of charge, the silk gets another type of charge. I think you know these small experiments that were conducted in your high school. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
So when you take, now for example, if you take electron, electron will have, I represent electron by a dot. So if I represent electron by a dot, what are the properties that this, so this dot is representing electrons. So what are the properties of this electron?
So it has a negative charge.
Okay, it has negative charge. Right. Then what else?
It moves in a circular orbit around the nucleus.
See, Pratyush, you see, electrons don't move in circular orbits around nucleus. In high school, if you had said this, your teacher would have told shabash. But now, having learned Bohr radius, you should not commit this mistake. Okay? See, what the Bohr radius says is, well, there is nucleus. The nucleus is here. Okay? And you represent the first orbit like this, and you show the electron. This is for hydrogen. Okay? Or if you take helium, there are 2 electrons. Then if you go for lithium, then you will say there is a third electron here. Now, you must not be under the influence and confusion that the electron is going in this path. Am I right?
Yes.
Or you are under the impression the electron will go in the circular path?
No, sir. It will not go in that.
Yes, it will not go in that path. This is only telling you that the energy level of this is n is equal to 1. Okay? And when we say this is an orbit, you know what is an orbit? What is an orbit? Faster! See, now every student should take an opportunity and answer. Come on. It's high time that all of you start answering. What is orbit?
A fixed path.
No.
A fixed path.
No. Come on, everybody try. See, you commit mistake. Pardon? Yeah.
That is the area around the nucleus where there is the high, where we find the highest probability of finding an electron.
Area. Area means it is always, area, no.
Like the space. around the
Region,
nucleus.
region.
Region, yes.
See, Jaydev, you see here. See, if you try and answer like this, what happens is whatever is there in your mind will come out. The teacher will get an opportunity to help you to refine it. That's all. Okay, see, science is like this. It is not that you don't know. You know quite a bit of science. You have been a good student from the past 10 years. Okay, no doubt about it. So if you expose yourself, then you see what happens is the teacher will help you to refine it. And now what happened now? See, next time somebody asks you orbit, what is orbit? You know for sure that yes, that wrong answer is gone, the right answer. Orbit is a region where the probability of finding an electron is highest. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Yes, sir.
See, you should learn like this. See, if you have studied, you will give that answer. If you have learned, you will give this answer. Now, you analyze this statement. What does this statement say? The probability of finding the electron is highest. That region is called the orbit. So, this statement, if you analyze, it means electron can be anywhere. Electron can be anywhere, right? It can be anywhere around the nucleus. There is no restriction. But the highest probability of finding the electron is here. Okay. Now assume that your friend has arrived from some other place. Okay. Say he has come from Bangalore and he wants to meet you. Now say tomorrow morning 11 o'clock he will come to Hubli. So what is the probability? Which is the highest probability of finding you? Which place is the highest probability of finding you at 11 a.m. tomorrow?
My house.
Isn't it? Your home. Correct? That's precisely correct. But that doesn't mean you will be in the home. Maybe now there is no lockdown, you would have gone out to buy something. That doesn't guarantee that you are there. But the highest probability is this. Isn't it? Hello. Now you see, supposing the online classes have started, commenced, and so you are a college student, you are going to college. So now your friend comes to Hubli from Bangalore. Now he wants to immediately see you. So what is the probability at 11 o'clock to find you? Which place? College. So he comes to college and he finds that you are not there. Then what is the next probability? That he will be
Home, sir.
correct. Thank you. I will not go further. Okay. So you will be in your home. So the probability of finding you in the college is highest. The next probability of finding you higher is home, like that. So here it means this. Okay. Now the then you have angular momentum of the electron is conserved. Correct?
Yes, sir.
That's what you write. That you write it as NH. This is the symbol for H by 2.
Yes.
So what does it mean? That means the angular momentum of the electron is always conserved. So what it means? What it means? Supposing this is nucleus and this is nucleus, the electron can be moving in this orbit, in this path, not orbit. Understood? The electron can be moving like this. But whether you locate the electron here or 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 here, what is common to the electron here, here, here or here or here or here or here? There is one physical property that is common at all these points. What is that physical property? See, you have derived Bohr radius. You have gone into the depth of it. You have solved so many numericals. Come on, you should tell me now. The path of the electron I have shown you. Very bad students. Come on, anybody?
Sir, can you repeat the question again once?
This is always your problem. So this is the path of the electron. This is nucleus. This is the path of the electron I have shown you. At some time it is here, sometime it is here, sometime here it is, sometime it is here, electron. So at all these times, what is that physical property that is common to the electron in in all these positions?
It's charge, sir,
Energy level.
and mass. Charge and mass, sir.
Okay, charge and mass is same
Sure.
everywhere. Correct? Charge and mass is same everywhere. What else?
Energy levels.
Energy level is same. Okay, fine, accepted. What else? See, I have written here. The angular momentum of the electron is same. Either it is here or here or here. Is it clear?
Yes.
That is
Yes, sir.
the essence of Bohr radius. Okay, anyways. So I just wanted to draw your attention to this thing, that electron is in motion. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less than it. Huh? See, this is very clearly indicating that you are not trying to learn. You are studying. Your mindset has not yet changed. How you were in high school, like that only you are there. So if you want to crack these competitive examinations or learn science properly, then your analysis must be at a higher level. Okay, so your entire derivation was based on this equation, and you do not know the significance of this. So when I have written this equation in this form, that is, I have created the physical picture of the electron motion, then you have failed to correct this understanding here. So I am just pointing at you that your mindset needs to be changed. And if you don't change your mindset, in spite of that, you keep on working from morning to night, it is not going to help your cause. So work on your mindset. Alright. So electron has one property, negative charge, and the other property, it has got mass. Is that clear? And I am talking about the electron at rest. So these are the two important properties. Okay. Anyways, I am not here to teach you electron theory, but I will be drawn into a discussion like that. Okay. Now here you see, if there is a charged particle Q having charge Q and mass m, and if this is moving with velocity v. What did I say? If the charged particle, if there is a particle of charge Q and mass m, it is moving with velocity v. What happens to this at time t is equal to 0? At time t is equal to 1, okay, sorry, not 1, at time t is equal to t1, that is t1 is greater than t, what happens to this electron? At t is equal to 0, I have given you the condition in terms of 3 variables. At time t is equal to t1, what happens to this electron? Come on, answer.
Sir, can you repeat the question after that?
See, at time t is equal to 0, I have told that there is electron moving with velocity v. Its charge is q, mass m. At the next time t1, what happens to this electron? Come on, everybody try to answer. You will learn. See, because you are not answering, you are in this state. Your mindset is not changing.
Sir, no energy is provided, no, sir.
Mr. Ligade, why are you asking such questions, man? See, if energy was provided or any other condition, I would have stated. If nothing is stated, that means this is the condition. You must not ask. See, in examination, you will get confused like this. Whatever is given, with that you should work. Yes, please. Come on, everybody try.
Sir, the electron will keep moving in the region, sir.
See, at 6th standard, 7th standard, if you had given this answer, I would have said shabash to you. But not now. You have to use the right concept and answer.
Sir,
Come on, fast.
sir, its position will change, sir.
Okay. What else?
And its velocity will also change if its direction changes.
What is wrong with you, man? See, I have told you Newton's first law. In college, you have already gone through Newton's first law, second law, third law. You have solved numericals. In high school, you have studied Newton's law. But you don't know what is Newton's law. You have not understood head or tail of Newton's first law. This very clearly shows. See, I am trying my best to make you to think and learn, but you don't want to learn. Vaibhavi, Spurti, come up. Tell me. I want Vaibhavi, Spurti.
Sir, it will move with the velocity v1.
It will move. What do you mean by your answer? Come on, correct. What do you mean? You tell me in some other words.
Sir, it will
Huh? Correct. Tell me. Arey, why are you all struggling, man? At the instant t is equal to t1, the velocity of the electron is same, the charge is same, mass is same. That's all. Nothing will change. Why will it change?
yes.
Velocity vector will change only if there is external force. I have not set any force. And there is no reason why the charge should change. There is no reason why the mass should change. So at time t is equal to t1 also, the velocity will be same. You took so much time to answer this. All of you touch your heart. And understand, see, this is what I am trying to tell you. Conceptual clarity is this. It is not in solving many numericals. It is the way you think. The way you are actually, putting the efforts in what direction. Come on, all of you, henceforth, you very thoughtfully say, sir is telling like this. Let me at least listen to sir for some time at least. Start working like this. Okay? And let me tell you, these are very simple questions I have asked. But you will get very, very interesting questions in examination based on these thought process. Alright. So, at time t1, the velocity will not change. Clear?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Right. Now, yes. At time t is equal to 0, the velocity is v bar and the mass is m, charge is q. Okay, fine. Now what happens is, there is nothing. Now supposing it enters a region. See, in this region, you have got magnetic field. V bar. Magnetic field, what is magnetic field? Come on, build the answer. What is gravitational field? Tell me, what is gravitational field?
It is the field around the Earth where Earth's attraction is felt.
Okay, but
Sir,
huh?
the area and the gravity's influence.
Area. Why are you? See, you know that word area.
Yes, sir.
So there is a lot of difference between area and region.
Okay, sir.
Huh.
The gravity's influence.
Yes, a region where a particle with mass experiences gravitational force. Understand? A particle, a body or a particle with mass experiences gravitational force. Okay? This region is called gravitational field. Is that clear?
Yes,
Yes,
sir. Yes, sir.
sir.
Can you visualize? Can you visualize gravitational field?
Yes.
How?
Yes, sir.
How will you visualize? Yeah, how do you visualize? See, you told it is a region. So at least first say, okay, sir, I will consider this region. Okay, this is the region. You start like this. This is the region. And what did you say? That
Under the gravity's influence.
that is a particle or a body of mass m will experience gravitational force. Okay, so now you say, okay, I will place a body of mass m. Okay, at any point, and it will experience gravitational force. Isn't it? Hello? See, you visualize. So what does it mean? It means at any of these points, if you keep mass m, it will experience gravitational force. And such a region is called gravitational field. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Come on, see, you practice with me how to learn. And I told you, I am not teaching you. Okay, nobody can teach science. But I am also learning along with you. I am in front of you, I am learning. You participate with me. You also be a part of this learning team. Okay, you practice with me. Don't sit there and simply keep writing something. So now, what is magnetic field? I have defined gravitational field. Now you define what is magnetic field.
Okay, may I try, sir?
Please. Neela, you joined back, huh?
Yes, sir, I had one doubt in this answer here, sir.
Okay, then, okay, you did not answer the previous questions. Very bad. Okay.
I know, sir, I thought others would answer.
Okay, fine, good. Okay, tell me now, fast.
So it's a region around a charge or a magnetic object which under which there is force of magnetism.
You don't have to say around charge and magnetic material.
Okay. A region where the force of magnetism influences.
That's it. It's a region where the magnetic force on a magnetic material or a moving charge. Best is a region where a moving charge experiences force. A region where a moving charge experiences magnetic force is called magnetic field. What I mean is, if in this region, if the charged particle is moving in this region, then this charged particle will experience force. How much force will it experience? Okay, this force, if I write it as magnetic force, the force that it experiences is Q V bar cross B bar. That is, this particle of charge Q moving with velocity V bar in the magnetic field of region V bar experiences this force. Correct?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You will learn about it in next year, and this is called Lorentz force. Okay, you will learn about it in next year. See, I am just introducing these things to all of you because you should know that, yes, because to learn this particular chapter, units and measurements, you need to know some physical quantities. Otherwise, I can't teach this chapter. Okay? So therefore, some things you should know, but you will know about this basic force in detail in next year. Okay? But I think I made it clear to you. Am I right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And see, don't put too much pressure on yourself to like examination pressure, pressure of the future, and or think about the past. No. So don't get into any of these hazards. You just focus on learning and enjoy learning. Okay? I know there are lots of teenage pressure on all of you. Okay? I have gone through your age. I know what goes on in your mind and all, and it is very difficult these days. Because in our time, we didn't have so much teenage pressure as you have. Okay, because we were not exposed to many bad things that you are exposed now. Okay, but unfortunately, you are exposed to. But please control your mind. Otherwise, you see, you are going to waste a lot of time and energy. Okay, thinking about some things which is useless. Okay, what I mean is, some boy is thinking about a girl or a girl is thinking about a boy. I know all of you are wonderful students, you are not like that. But in general, I am telling you, don't at all get into this loop. It's very dangerous. Till the age of 22, your dharma, your karma is education. Education, education. What you have to do when, that time only you should do. Afterwards, yes, you have freedom to think on other things. But now, if you at all, even for a moment, stray away from this path, it will be a doomsday for you. Because in life, we are born once, the end point is death. In between, time is tuck ticking. Every time, every moment, you should convert it into time and energy. Useful, purposeful. At that particular time, if you deviate and do something else, then it's a gone case. Alright friends, so I know the pressures that you are facing, so I am trying to tell you that, be at ease and enjoy learning science for 6 months. That's why I have put the target as 6 months. 6 months, don't think about examinations. And the college conducted some examination. They gave a paper, mains paper and all. Frankly speaking, I am not for it. Okay? Because you have just started learning some things. So the question paper at this level should not be like that. Okay, it should be different, where your concepts are tested, your basic skills are tested, level 1 problems are given. Slowly increase the level of the problems. But all of a sudden increase, you start getting less marks, and now you start feeling low, and then so many things happen. Yo, ishtalla abhyas made, I'm getting so less marks. All those things should not happen. Okay, so just you learn and enjoy science. Keep your mind free. Okay, see, beautiful force, Lorentz force. You will get introduced to many forces like this. Lorentz force, now centripetal force, Lorentz force. You will get to know centrifugal force, buoyant force, like that. Okay, as it comes, I'll tell. So I hope you got the idea here, Lorentz force.
Yes.
Good. Good. So I had to tell all this theory to you because the question asked in unit 10, this one was, what are the dimensions of the magnetic field V bar? That was the question. But now if you want to relate, if you want to get the dimensions of V bar, then the simplest, there are many equations. There are many equations where V bar gets related. One of the simplest equations is this. Hello, are you with me? Huh.
Yes.
Good. Now, you see, you apply the vectors here. So it is cross product of V bar. Now, in general, you consider V bar and V bar are perpendicular to each other. Then VB sin theta. Sin theta becomes 1. Okay?
Yes.
And in dimensional analysis, direction is not got into, we don't bring direction into the picture here. Okay, so it simply boils down to the magnitude of the magnetic force is QV. Understood? This is the magnitude of this. Clear?
Yes.
So now we want the magnitude of V bar. Just filter the magnitude of V bar here from this. Okay, I don't have to write V bar here. V. What is this V going to be? F M. I am using the suffix M to say it is magnetic field. Okay, divided by QV. Clear?
Yes.
Yes.
Come on, aram se you must. So, what are the dimensions of the force? The dimensions of force is m raised to 1, l raised to 1, t raised to minus. Correct? How? Force is mass into acceleration. Mass into acceleration. Acceleration meters per second. Okay. Now, as far as the dimensions of charge is concerned, charge is not a fundamental quantity. Am I right?
Yes.
Hello? Charge is not a fundamental quantity. Now, electric current. Do you know what is electric current?
Yes.
Yes, tell me what is electric current. Tell me, whatever you know, you tell me. And see, you are going to learn electric current next year. Don't see, when I ask question, it is not to test you, students. It is not to test you. It is for me to know what you know, so that I can teach you what you don't know. If you make a teacher to tell whatever he knows, only Panditya Pradarshana will take place. And your time will be wasted. You will tell, oh, teacher knows so many things, she has told everything. What is that you are going to get out of it? Come on. Be brave, be bold. Yes, please. Good. Everybody try. Yes, tell.
It is a stream of electrons which flows in a conductor.
Wrong. Stream of electrons, if it flows in conductor, I don't accept that answer at this stage. Okay? Yes, please try.
So electric current is the rate of flow of electric charges
Through a conductor. Okay, I will not accept this answer also. Anybody else? Come on, try. See, now, don't give guess answers. You reason and give. If you have visualized, if you have read something with that, you please answer. Yes, please. See, everybody try. All of you try. See, all the wonderful students gave wrong answers. but I still appreciate their commitment to learn. Come on,
Electric current is flow of electrons.
louder.
Electric current is flow of electrons.
Wrong, sir. Wrong.
Sir, can I try, sir?
Yes, fast, fast, fast.
Sir, electric field is the region around a certain charged particle in which the charge attracts or repulses.
See, all of you dear friends, you listen to this gentleman. I am asking what is electric current. This person is telling me what is electric field. God save you and me. Okay, next person.
So can I try?
Fast.
Sir, it's the time rate of flow of electrons in a conductor.
If you had not used electrons, you had
Charged particles.
charged particles need not be.
Charges.
Charges, yes.
Yes. Okay. See, what I would have done if I was in your place, I would have taken a piece of paper. Okay, this is what I know electric current. I would have written. Then I would have tried to visualize and see whether the sentence I have used is complete and unambiguous. So my visualization would be like this. Okay, assume that this is a conductor, and yes, I and you know that it is something to do with flow of charge. So now charge is flowing here. Okay, charge is flowing here in this direction. So Q1 amount of charge is going like this. Let me assume that there is positive charge that is moving. So it only need not be electrons only. Correct? Hello?
Yes.
So you know now already protons have positive charge, electrons have negative charge. So there are two types of charges. So Q1 charges is flowing in a conductor like this. There can also be Q2 charges flowing in this direction. It is possible, no?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So if you look at this point, what is flowing there? Think, what is flowing there? Which concept will you use there? Q1 is flowing like this, Q2 is flowing like this. So at this point, what is flowing?
Magnet.
Come on, be confident and see if you feel it is the right answer with reason, you please tell me. See, all of you, if you try in my class, your mindset will change. There is every possibility you will also do well in any format of exam. If you keep your mouth shut like this and keep quiet, God save you. Come on, I am giving you a golden opportunity. See, in college and all, you can't do this. There are 80 students in the class. Okay, and some of you are attending classes with recorded session. You will not have an opportunity to learn. Here I am giving you an opportunity to learn. Come on, express yourself. And this expression only will be responsible for your achievement. Okay, what will happen here? What will happen at this point?
The magnetic field.
Why are you telling magnetic field is created? Okay, magnetic field is created because charges move. Correct. But here you see in this context, I would have said, sir, Q1 will go in this direction, Q2 will go in this direction. So the net charge that will flow here is delta Q. What is delta Q here? Q1 minus Q2.
Yes.
See, man, it is so simple. Water is flowing from here and also water is flowing here. Can water flow like that? See, what happens is, okay, you have a pipe here which is putting the water like this, you have a pipe here which is putting water like this. So at some point, you can't have water flowing in both directions. There will be net flow of water. Correct, no?
Yes, sir.
See, this is what I say, visualization, physics, physical. Now imagine, charge is moving. So there is a net. See, now you should now know that net force, net charge and all. So there is net flow of electric charges here. Isn't it? That is delta Q. Correct? Delta Q is net flow of charges. This net flow of charges is taking place in time delta T. Okay? So let me write it. So there is net flow of charges in time delta T. That is delta Q charges crosses the point in delta T. Got it?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Now we say this is electric current I. When net electric charges crosses a point or a surface, okay, then we say current is flowing across the point or surface. Is that clear?
Yes.
Yes.
See, if you learn like this, then anytime any question asked on this, you can aram se close your eyes, visualize and get to the problem, or with that concept you can build another theory or law. That's how your understanding has to happen. Clear? So now from this equation, what is delta Q? I into delta.
Yes.
Correct? I into delta. So now you see the problem. The question here is, I have got charge, right? But charge is not a fundamental quantity. But current I is a fundamental quantity and time is a fundamental quantity. So it is I into T.
Yes.
Understood? Got it? So what is the dimensional formula of charge? I into T. I raised to 1, T raised to 1. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Understood? See, this is how dimensional analysis happen. Alright. And what is velocity? What is the dimensional formula for velocity? L raised to 1, T raised to minus.
Yes.
Yes.
Now you do everything here. So you get here m raised to 1. Okay. So there is L raised to 1, L raised to 1. That will cancel off. T raised to minus 1, T raised to plus 1, T raised to minus 1. That cancels off. So L raised to 0, T raised to minus 2, and I will be here, I raised to minus 1. So this becomes the dimensional formula of this. Did you understand?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, friends? So, aram se learn. And here you see, you are learning dimension analysis and you are slowly getting introduced to something like this. Now, I presume you know something about Lorentz force. Now, okay, there is charge. How to express charge? What are the dimensions of charge? Okay, now you know, yes, using the fundamental quantity I and T, I can express this. So, your confidence in using the dimensions and dimension analysis must start increasing. Is that clear?
Yes. Yes.
Fine. So you have advantage. You have advantage. Slowly, science is building in you. Okay, just like how I and you learned how to talk, how to walk. Slowly, we started walking, talking, and now we are experts. So like that only science also, you learn smoothly like this, you will also become an expert. Okay?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Friends. Yes, sir. 3 bags full. Okay. See, I took so much time, 40 minutes to explain this. Okay? Yes, at initial stages, you have to learn like this only. Okay? Right. See, you got the same formula. M T raised to minus 2, I raised to minus 1. Correct? But here you should write L raised to 0. Okay? It is not written here. So, better write it here. For boards, you need to write M raised to 1. Okay? L raised to 0, T raised to minus 2, I raised to minus 1. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, sir.
So I think all of you know this chain rule, no? 1 Newton. Okay. See, the SI unit of force is actually kg meter per second square. But there are some things which some physical quantities have special units. One of this is Newton. So if you have to convert Newton into dynes, okay, in dynes we are using all the physical quantities are in CGS system. So here 1 kg gets converted to 1000 grams, 1 meter gets converted to 100 centimeters, second is second. So you get all this 10 to the power of 5. So 1 Newton is 10 to the power of 5 dynes. I hope everything is clear here.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, this is the direct way of doing. But in some complicated cases, it is better that you know this formula. N1 is an integer. U1 is the units in a particular system. Say, in the MKS system, N1 and the units of the physical quantity in MKS system or SI system. And N2 is another number, but the units are expressed in in another system, say CGS system. You will understand by this example. Okay. Now what I mean is, here in this case, you see, in this case, N1 is 1. And when I say U1, that means I am expressing the quantities involved in this Newton in terms of SI system. And what is its equivalent in CGS system? Then I write N2 and I have to express this in terms of CGS system. Okay, now you can see how this is done here. 1 M1 L1 T raised to minus 2. What is this 1? 1 is 1 Newton. What is M1 L1 T raised to minus 2? This is the dimensional formula of, see again it is written wrongly here. This should be M raised to 1. Okay, fine. See M1, see here instead of writing M, we are writing it as M1 L1 T, and I should write here T1 raised to minus 2. But as you know, here nothing is written on top. This is M1 raised to 1, L1 raised to 1, T1 raised to minus 2. Correct?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay, that's how you should read that. And N2, I don't know the conversion factor. I don't know N2. But the dimensional formula will not change whether you use SI system or CGS system. The dimensional formula will not change because the physical quantity has not changed. Am I right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So the dimensional formula, I will write it as M2 L2 T2 raised to minus 2. Okay, I suppose all of you got this.
Yes.
Yes.
So now I say N2 is equal to 1. Okay, M1 raised to 1, L1 raised to 1, T1 raised to minus 2 divided by M2 raised to 1, L2 raised to 1, T2 raised to minus 2. This is M1 and M2, they have put it in a bracket, L1 and L2 they have put it, this one they have put it in a bracket next to this. I suppose you understood this form. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Now I will write the units of this in a particular system. What are the units of M1 in SI system? kg. Unit of L1 in SI system? Meter. Unit of T1 in SI system? Second. What is the unit of M2 in CGS system? Gram. L2 centimeter. T2 second. Did you get this? Now what I want is I want to convert Newton to dyne. So therefore I will write kg in terms of grams. That is 1 kg is equal to 1000 grams. 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeters. Second is second. Correct?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
You didn't get it, man. Okay, see here. See here. 1 kg, I will write it as 1000 grams. Okay? And this is 1 gram as it is. Okay? This is the first thing. And then 1 meter, I will write it as 100 centimeter and 1 centimeter as it is. And then this is 1 second upon 1 second. Now you see here, all of you, you can cancel these units. Cancel this unit. Cancel this unit. So now you are just left with numbers. What is the number you are left with? 1000 into 100 into 1. That gives you 10 to the power. Got it? So you get here N2 is equal to 10 to the power.
Yes.
So you must understand this, you can cancel the units. That's very important.
Yes.
I hope you know this now, or did you know now, or you already knew this? Good, fine. Alright. So that's about this. Now what is the inherent discrepancy you find in the following statement? See, here apple is compared with oranges, meters with seconds, so it doesn't make any sense. So in physics, we have to compare. When we say we are comparing, it should be of same kind. Right. That is what is the thing that is given here. I suppose this should not be difficult for you to get it. Now, principle of homogeneity of dimensions. Homogeneity means, see here, when I write an equation, I write something to the in the LHS, some terms in the LHS and some terms in the RHS. So in the LHS whatever I write and in the RHS whatever I write, okay, it should be of same kind. So what I mean is, okay, so here if I am going to write here A plus B is equal to C plus D, supposing I write. So A, B, C, D are physical quantities. Now what it means is, if this equation holds good, what it means? It means if this is a physical quantity of some kind, that is if it is force, or it is mass, then supposing I say this is force, then this should also represent force. This should also represent force. This should also represent force. Got it?
Yes.
Then we say this equation is homogeneous. Okay? Now you cannot say I will take A as force and B as mass or something else. Okay? Then it is not homogeneous. So if the equation is established, then it means all these quantities are of same kind, same physical quantity. Is it clear?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Great. So you see here, what is the principle of homogeneity? Formally speaking, only physical quantities having same dimensions can be added, subtracted or equated. More profoundly, an equation in physics requires dimensional equality. Right? That means now all the quantities that are equated, added or subtracted, okay, they must represent the same kind of physical quantity. That's what it means. We can use this principle. What is the use of this principle of homogeneity? You can check the correctness of the equation to the extent that dimensionless constants will be obscure from the analysis. Predict the nature of the equation provided we know its dependence and other quantities. You want me to explain these two sentences? I will explain. Or if you say you know what it means, then I will move further. I am waiting for an answer from all of you.
We know, sir, you can go further.
Yes, sir, we know.
Now, if I ask some students, they will say, we don't know, you explain. But those students are VIPs. Only if I ask them, they will say, we don't know. Otherwise, they by themselves will not know. I think there is a bunch of such students now in this class. Or everybody knows? Atmaja? You want
Yes,
me
sir,
to?
I understand.
Okay, I will ask one by one student. Patke? Oh, these Vaishnavis are missing here. Both of them. Baapre. Shreyas Kutsar? Hello, I am not getting any reply from you people. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So I suppose all of you have understood the meaning of that. I'll proceed. Okay,
Yes,
see,
sir.
I have given enough opportunity. See, because you see, my intention is, time has to be conserved. I have to teach you science. Once you know that you have understood science, then the remaining time I will use it for numericals. Right? So if I conserve more time, then I will solve more numericals for you. That's as simple as that. Of course, basic numericals to be solved, I will solve. But more than that numericals, I need more time. So that's why, I am attempting these type of things. I think this one I have already discussed with all of you. Isn't it? I have discussed with all of you this one. You saw this equation. Sn is equal to u plus a by t into 2t minus 1. Yesterday I discussed this. Hello. So this is u into 1 second. Okay. This is u into 1 second. So then this will become the unit, the dimensions of this will be u into time is, it will be the dimensions will of this u into time will be the dimensions of distance. That is, the dimension of the left hand side is L raised to 1. Here u into time will be L raised to 1. Okay? Then again here you have got t into 1 second. So A is what? Meter per second square into second square. So only meter will remain. Got it? Hello?
Yes.
And here it is getting multiplied by 1 second into 1 second. This 1 here, see, you please understand here. See, in this bracket, you have got 2t minus 1. You can see here. Hello? That means this is 2t is a term and 1 is also a term. And when we write in physics like this, that means the dimensions of 2t and the dimensions of 1 must be same. Got it?
Yes.
So here you see, if t is in seconds, you know, then this 1 should also be in seconds. So this 1 is representing what? 1 is representing 1 second.
Yes.
And throughout the equation, you have to multiply it by 1 second. Then u into 1 second. A by t into 1 second. So u into 1 second, that means meter per second into second will give you meter. Meter per second square into second will give you meter per second, and if you multiply it by second and second, this will also be meter. So this equation homogeneity principle is obeyed. Got it?
Yes, sir.
See, your outlook should be like this. Your abstraction must be like this. Right? Fine. So these are the pitfalls. Then you see sine theta. Okay, this is already known to you. So when we write this, you see, when we write this expression, all of you know, when you write this, okay, that is sine of theta. So when we write like this, it is understood what? What is understood? This theta is expressed in radians. Correct?
Yes.
Yes. And radians is what? A ratio of the length of the arc to its radius.
Yes.
So what is the dimension? What is the dimension of length? L. What is the dimension of radius? L. So this is cancelled. So radian is dimensionless. That is, sorry, not radian. Theta is dimensionless. Got it?
Yes.
Theta is dimensionless, but it is not unitless.
Yes.
What is the unit of theta? Radian. Theta has got unit, but it does not have dimensions. Is that clear?
Yes.
So obviously, this x minus w will, this is x minus kx minus, this is not w, it is omega. Kx minus omega t is replacing theta. Understood? It is replacing theta. Theta is dimensionless, so this should also be dimensionless. Got it?
Yes.
Yes. Now, if you have understood, tell me, if this kx minus omega t is dimensionless, what do you mean? If kx minus theta is dimensionless, what do you mean? Come on. Come on, students, participate. Explain. Express.
Can I try?
See, the same girl is trying. Who is this?
Neela.
No, somebody else. Come on, take this opportunity, everybody. There is some girl by name Disha. Wait a minute, Disha is already there. I think there is a girl by name Disha, correct? Is she there?
Yes, sir.
What is wrong with you?
Sir, dimensionless means, sir, like, it does not have any, there is no physical quantity like assigned to it, sir.
See, madam, about 2 to 3 weeks ago, you were so active in the class. Suddenly you have gone into a shell for whatever reason. Okay, and now you see you are giving me giving an answer different from the question that I am asking. If you understood all this I told, okay, then kx minus omega t is replacing theta. Correct? So kx minus omega t is dimensionless. Correct? That's what I said.
Yes.
Then the next question I have asked is, what do you mean kx minus omega t is dimensionless? Or you explain in your own terms. Kx minus omega t is dimensionless. What does it mean? Okay, what are all the meanings? Kx minus omega t is dimensionless. What are all the inferences you can draw from that? Yes, anybody can answer here. Anyone can answer. When I say anyone means even Neela can answer, Nishant can answer. Neela, you said?
Means that its dimensional formula is M0, L0.
No, I didn't ask you what are the dimensions. When I said kx minus omega t is dimensionless, what do you mean? You try to see. What am I expecting you to tell? I am expecting.
It doesn't have any length, mass.
No. That's not what I meant. Okay, you might have thought like that. That's all. What I meant is the dimension of kx and the dimension of kx must be dimensionless. Correct? And the dimensions of omega t must also be dimensionless. Correct?
Yes.
No, that's what I meant. Both these kx and omega t, both should be dimensionless. You should not be in the impression that this has some dimension, minus this dimension, I am going to get something. No. Okay? This dimension and this should also be dimensionless, this should also be dimensionless. That's the meaning. Similarly, e raised to kx minus omega t. This is also dimensionless quantity. Okay? This is also dimensionless quantity. Okay, this is how you've got to understand the science of these dimensions. Alright. Right. Now, a set of quantities become fundamental only if they are independent one of the other. I think this is already known to you. That is, length, mass, time, and all the fundamental quantities are independent of each other. And means I don't need mass to express length or current to express length or current depends upon length. No. Okay? So they are fundamental. Now this statement is important. Once you see here, length, mass, times, we have taken it as fundamental quantities. Now, yesterday, I think some 3-4 classes ago, I asked a question. Why don't we choose mass, velocity, acceleration or some physical quantity as the fundamental quantity? Okay, you can use some other quantities as fundamental quantities, but it has to satisfy certain criteria. That is what I am going to discuss here. Once we make different set of choice as fundamental quantities, how do we derive the dimensional formula? For example, if I choose mass, velocity and acceleration as fundamental quantities, instead of length, mass, time and all these fundamental quantities, I am getting different choices. I will choose mass and velocity and acceleration as fundamental quantities. Supposing I choose. Then let me see the consequence of it. So, it is fairly easy to realize that v square upon a has dimensions of length. Supposing I take these as fundamental quantities, and now if I want to express length, okay, are you understanding what I am trying to tell you?
Yes, sir.
Instead of choosing length, mass, time, see, I had first chosen length, mass, time as fundamental quantities, and using length, mass, time, I had expressed velocity. So what is velocity in terms of length, mass, time? It was L raised to 1, T raised to minus 1. Got it? Now I am doing the ulta. I am choosing mass, velocity and acceleration as fundamental quantities. Then what is length? Okay, what is length here? You see here. Now the dimensions of length. Okay, so let me write it here. So accordingly here, the dimensions of length. Okay, so the dimensions of length. The dimensions of length here is going to be, here you see, I will choose this and this. Okay, the velocity raised to 2, because I am using the symbol V for V and I am choosing the symbol A for acceleration, divided by A raised to 1. Okay, I know velocity is meter per second. So velocity square is meter square upon second square, and acceleration is meter upon second square. Second square will cancel, 1 meter will get cancelled. So this becomes the dimension of length.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You got it? So you see, now I have chosen velocity, mass, velocity, acceleration as the fundamental quantities. So I will get the dimension formula like this. So more specifically, I will write it as, see, more specifically, I will write it as dimensions of length in the new system as, okay, here you see, m mass is same, mass, m raised to 0, okay, v raised to 2, a raised to minus 1. Got it? Hello? Huh?
Yes, sir.
That's it. Yes, it is written here. V raised to 10, a raised to minus 1, m raised to 0. So I said L is equal to V raised to x, a raised to x, and using the dimensional quantity, solve for x, y, z. So another way to solve this. Another way to solve this is assume L. So it is something V raised to x, a raised to y, m raised to c. And then I think you know this method of doing it. So
Yes.
I will show you some other examples of doing this. Got it? Next, we will go on to the another problem. Another numerical use. Okay. Which of the following set quantities cannot enter the list of? Now you see, I cannot arbitrarily choose some 3 things and say they are fundamental quantities. Got it? I cannot arbitrarily say they are fundamental quantities. So there is. So which set can you choose as fundamental quantities and which set you cannot choose as fundamental quantities? Here I would like to ask, how many of you know the answer for this question? Faster. The students of a particular college have gone through this theory and they have completed it. They should be able to tell me faster.
Yes, sir.
Yes. One student is telling yes, she knows. What about others? What about others?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, now tell me. Momentum, energy, velocity. Can I choose them as fundamental quantities? Force, velocity, acceleration, can I choose?
Yes.
Why I cannot choose momentum, energy, velocity as fundamental quantities?
Because the momentum velocity will give energies.
Okay, fine. So you know that, see, the rule here, the thing is, any one of the physical quantity, okay, depends on other 2 physical quantities or one of the physical quantities. Then this set cannot be considered as fundamental quantities. Am I right?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Set must be considered again, sir, because force is mass into acceleration.
Can be considered.
Yes, sir. And then acceleration is change in velocity by time.
See, now you see you write those equations and you examine. Write those equations and examine. And see, because see, write those equations and examine. Okay, then you will see this one. You will see the reality. Anyway, I will solve this. You will understand it. Okay. So now I just show you the solution of this. Okay. Now, to qualify as a system of fundamental quantity, the quantities must be independent. That means see what I do here is momentum. I am expressing it in the earlier fundamental quantity. Earlier means length mass time. Energy in terms of length mass time. Velocity in terms of length mass time. Now here you see a combination of any of the 2 here must not lead to the third one. So here you see energy and momentum are leading to this, and therefore you can't consider momentum, energy, velocity as the system of fundamental quantities. Okay, fine. See, the thing is, it's not enough that you know that this will not happen, but in examination you have to prove. Okay, so the proof is something like this. Okay, now the other quantities. Mr. Ligade, your question. Force, I will write it like this. Velocity, I will write it like this. Acceleration, I will write it like this. Now, you take combination any two of them and see whether you can get the third out of it. Mr. Ligade, you take any two combination and see whether you get the third one. Are you able to get?
No, sir.
So, these three quantities, force, velocity, acceleration, can be considered as a system of fundamental quantities. Clear?
But they should be dependent on either one or both, sir.
See, now I am showing you this particular demonstration here. You see from this demonstration, you first understand this particular solution. Did you understand the solution?
Yes, sir.
Done. So now, based on this solution, based on what you have understood, now you say if you have any doubt on that, you ask.
No, sir.
Oh no, that's it. Okay, so what I meant is, one should not depend on other. So I am, by proper mathematics, I am proving what I meant by saying that one should not depend upon other. Understand? This is what I meant, that the dependency should not be there. And I given you an example here where there is dependency is there, and here is an example where dependency is not there. And therefore, this gets qualified, this doesn't get qualified. Clear?
Yes.
Yes.
Here, G is universal gravitational constant. You know or no? G, capital G?
Yes.
I have written already in the class. Capital G I have already written in the class. Okay? That is gravitational force F is equal to G m1 m2 upon r square. Okay, so G, C and H. H is Planck's constant. You already know. Construct the physical quantity having dimensions of length in terms of G, C and H. That is, you have to express length in terms of these three fundamental quantities, G, C and H. Now, the problem here is, you should know these fundamental quantities. Okay, now, what will you do in this particular case? Okay, so, sir, what is G and all? You should not get confused in examinations like that. Okay, so what I will do here, okay, so the simplest way is, I have got force, gravitational force is G m1 m2 by r square. I know this, correct? So from this I can get the dimensional formula of G. What is the dimensional formula of G? F. F I know is m l raised to 1 t raised to minus 2. Okay?
Yes.
Then r square. R square is l raised to 2. Then m1 m2 is m square. Alright. So can I not get the dimensional formula of G here?
Yes.
Clear? Understood? So like that now, C is velocity of light. So velocity of light is L t raised to minus 1.
Yes.
Clear? Now coming to Planck's constant. You know one equation of Planck's constant, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
You whichever equation you know about Planck's constant, you use that equation. Which equation you know about Planck's constant?
E is equal to hc by lambda.
So you get here E is equal to H C by lambda.
By lambda.
Okay. So point what is E? E is energy.
Yes.
E is energy. So you know the dimensional formula of energy?
Sir, can't we simply, we know the unit of Planck's constant, sir, so can't we use to find out?
Yeah, you can find like that also. If you know Planck's constant.
Joule second, sir, so.
Yes, you can use like that also. You can use like that also, Joule second. Right? Joule second. So if you write Joule second here, so will it solve the problem here? Because you should be able to express Joule in terms of the dimensions of Joule. So do you know the dimensions of Joule?
Yes, sir.
What are the dimensions of Joule?
Sir, ml square t raised to minus 2.
How do you know this?
Sir, force is ml t raised to minus 2 and energy is force into displacement of the point of application of force.
Okay, so here energy is according to the law of certain laws. So work gets converted to energy. Energy gets converted to work. So therefore, the dimensions of energy and work are one and the same. And the work is force into displacement. Of course, the definition I have told you what is work done when the point of application of force displaces, and there is a component of force in the direction of displacement. Work is said to be done. Anyways, that is fine. But here, force into displacement, the dimensions of force and displacement will give you work. Correct. So, energy here, the dimensions of energy. The dimensions of energy is joules, and joules you will write as m L raised to 1 T raised to minus 2, okay, and the displacement is L raised to 1. So this becomes m L raised to 2 T raised to minus 1. That is the dimensions of energy. Correct?
Yes, sir.
So from this lambda. So lambda, if you transport with this side, so it will be L raised to 1. And C is L raised to 1 T raised to minus 1. So you arrange all this, you will get the dimensions of H. Correct?
Yes.
Yes.
So you can write the dimensions of H, you can write the dimension of C, and now you found out the dimension of G. Correct?
Yes.
Yes.
So from this, can you get the dimension of L?
Yes, sir.
How will you go about getting it?
Sir, in each option, go on substituting the power.
Okay, wait a minute. Now everybody understood what all I did here?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Please understand. Good. Right. See, all of you, nicely learn, and don't inhibit yourself. Don't think you are good. Don't think you are bad. The intention of all of us to be together here is only to learn and enjoy learning. And we are all learning because we have come to this earth as human beings. We have to make this world a better place to live before we depart from this earth. And science is empowering us to do so. That's why we are learning science. Whether you become a doctor, an engineer, or scientist, or a businessman, or whatever you become, okay, but you are going to render service to the society. Science empowers you. That is why you are learning science. Nothing more, nothing less. So just be free. Okay, we are all human beings, right? So write this, and the best way to start here is the dimensions of L, right? Now I don't know to what power, but I know length will depend upon these three quantities. So I'll write G raised to X, C raised to Y, and H raised to Z. I suppose this is in the general format.
Yes.
And now you write the dimensions of G. You write the dimensions of G raised to X. You write the dimensions of C raised to Y. And then you write the dimensions of H raised to Z. And already, you know what are the dimensions of G. Just now we got the dimensions of G. What are they? M raised to minus 1. M raised to minus 1. See here, I got it here. Okay? And then L raised to 3. L raised to 3. And T raised to minus 2. T raised to minus 2. Okay? T raised to minus 2. To this raised to X. Okay? This X. Similarly, C will be what? L raised to 1. T raised to minus 1. Raised to Y. Okay?
Yes.
H will be again Planck's constant, whatever you got, write the dimension raised to Z and perform the operation. Right?
Yes.
I will show you. I have already performed that operation. I'll just show you the operation. Right? So, okay. Is it clear to you?
Sir, if you pull it more, it will become blurred.
Somewhat.
Sir, the figures are a little blurred, the powers.
Keep quiet, man. I am seeing it here. It's okay. You can do it better. No, it is something better. Okay. M raised to 2, L raised to 1, T raised to 2. That is what I have written here. I have already written for G now. The same thing is here. Okay. And further. All this thing, equating the powers of this and all. So here. Okay, now what I had written here, all of you please, I had written here, this is somewhat getting blurred, G raised to P. I had written here G raised to P, okay, C raised to Q, and H raised to R. If you want, you can write it there. Okay, I have written here G raised to P, okay, C raised to Q, and H raised to R. Okay, I have written it like this, and this is equal to M raised to, because right side is length, M raised to 0, L raised to 1, T raised to 0. Hello?
Yes.
And I went on writing the units of the dimensions of G, C, and H. Okay, and then equating the powers of M. So here you see, M for G, what did I get here? M raised to 2. You remember that?
Yes.
Previous slide? Huh? Hello?
Yes.
In G, you have got M raised to 2, and as far as C is concerned, you have got M raised to 0, and for as H is concerned, you have got there M raised to 1.
Yes.
Correct? You have got M raised to 1. So that means I am only writing the M of this, all these 3 M. So here M. So M raised to 3. Only I am writing M of these 3. M raised to 1. So that means now P, the value of P, see you can write here, P plus Q is equal to R. 3P plus Q is equal to 2R. Did you follow this?
Yes, sir.
Hello, everybody there?
Yes, sir.
Then to simplify, this is a simple problem you will be able to get. That means now the physical quantity that is for length will be equal to G raised to half, 3 raised to minus 2, H raised to half. See, formerly we used to write it as length, mass, time. Is it? Mass, we have taken mass, length and time as the fundamental quantities. Now we have replaced it with G, C and H. And this is how the powers to which it is raised. And right side you are getting what? The dimensions of length. Or this is written in this form. That is under root so and so. So under root GH by C cube is nothing but the length. Understood? That's what is the problem. The physical quantity of length is equal to under root GH by C cube. If you have taken G, H and C as the fundamental quantities. Okay? Hello?
Yes.
Done.
Yes.
I think this was the numerical. Did you solve this problem? First problem? I had given it as homework today to you.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Everybody solved? Everybody tried this problem?
Yes.
Yes, good, good. So if you have tried, I am very happy. See, you sincerely tried. I am not expecting you to get the answer, but I want a sincere attempt from all of you. See whether all of you got the same expression. If you have not got, you see what mistake have you done. Hello everybody, I hope this is clear.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Good, good, fine.
Yes, sir.
I hope nobody has any doubt on this.
No.
Okay, done, fine. Now it is 9 o'clock. I'll stop the class. So tomorrow we will continue with the same thing. Clear? And tomorrow what will be the timing?
7 to 8:30.
Yes. So we will have class tomorrow 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. I hope nobody has got any objection to this.
No.
Good, good. Huh? Yeah. Because I think dinner time was getting stretched. I used to have dinner before 8:30. Okay, I said okay 9 o'clock, but it is becoming 9:30 for me, and for some students also. The parents and all meet for dinner. So I thought okay, we can manage it. Huh? So the days when you don't have special class in college, we'll have like this. The moment the special class is announced, one of you must immediately put it in the group message. Which message?